Thanks, sweetheart. Hi, am I on the mic? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Lisa. Now I can see if I can not cry before I start reading this. Given this audience, I'm going to say I'm unapologetically a feminist, and that will be clear. I come from a long history of makers. My mother was a knitter, my father was an upholsterer, and my grandmother was a dressmaker. So the first poem is called Precedent. When we were not ubiquitous, we moved on the savannah in rainforest, desert, tundra, steppes, among rhino, grizzly, jaguar, yak. Rice numbered 40,000 varieties. Jungle and alpine medicinals, unclassified bounty. We rode, sailed, paddled, ocean, inlet, ice floe, bay, with cod, whale, seal. 200 species of herring schooled. Arctic tundra, temperate prairie, uncultivated forage. We traveled ribbony cycles from yarrow, bamboo shoots, berry, fig, to fish run, bird migration, deer yard. Tree, grass, chaparral, moss, conversed in continuous unmolested root plexus, enzyme clouds, ribosome trails, scat puffs. We wove, potted, embroidered, sleeves, saddles, medicine bags, pounded, plied, empanada, ravioli, pierogi, dumpling. Wind, rain, snow, high elevation, sea level, vegetation, fauna, molded our muscles and song. Before God claimed the word, unpronounceable, unspeakable, before men called the word father, Oma dripped from our lips. Love was an action, and that hasn't changed. So we all come from a long line of makers. And you all come from tough places. So this poem is called Libretto for Mina, who was the founder of the Revolutionary Association of Afghani Women in 1978. And I wrote this poem because the women at Bowdoin College were raising money for this organization, and one of the things that they do is teach women to read and write. So that's where this poem comes from. I learned to make these scratch marks match the sounds of the voices all around. I learned to connect one mark to the next, to make words of the sounds of my people all around. I've learned to piece together the abstracted construction of table, recipe, photosynthesis, compiled into theories of relativity, divinity, and the oppression of women. I've spent hours in wondrous magic, falling into someone's imagination, finding a corner in the house to escape, or a hammock to relax, expand, travel. Because I can read, I've been to Hafez, Rumi, Anne Frank, Elie Wiesel, Pablo Neruda. I have been to the Good Earth, Geisha Land, Doris Lessing. I have been to more worlds than any astronomer, solved more mysteries than Scotland Yard, had more discussions in feminist theory than Harvard. I've learned to shape these scratches, hatches, and assembly grocery lists, kitchen table notes, letters to the editor, master's thesis. I've learned to enjoy the effort of plucking ephemeral precognizance from my belly and turning it into verse. Somewhere between learning these marks for the King's English and the wax-tipped scratches of Pasanki, the unbroken symbolic shamanistic tradition of my forebears. Somewhere between these schemes communicating meaning, the facts exist. An Afghani poet named Nadia Anjuman was beaten to death by her husband. The poetry in her voice was too much for him. And when I slithered out from under the weight of my father's body and rifle, I could already read and write. Somewhere between cave painting and universal literacy, the facts exist. The authentic voice of any woman can be sucked into a black hole by the fisted scripture of male hubris, or fed inflammatory morsels of raging freedom because some sister somewhere has learned to speak her truth and acts on it. I just have to read that because, there's all this talk about how we've come a long way. And we have, in many, many ways. And we haven't, in many ways. Okay, so one of the inspirations for my work is dreams. And the piece that I'm putting up in the UU Church is 3 gigantic books. One of them is 20 feet long and 10 feet tall, and it's an accordion pop-up book. So if you want to see something, what the art says, maybe nobody will get, but the construction's pretty fabulous. And that whole exhibit, there's 4 more books to be done, comes from the 7 Sacred Sites, which is a dream that I had that I'm not going to read, but I'm going to read this dream because it is totally wild in the modern world. Grange Hall Dream. 1, meeting over, go to sleep on the top floor of the Grange Hall. Old 4-poster brass bed sagging springs in the middle of cavernous space. White linens, duvet, nightgown, lit from above. The rest remains dim, foggy, and gray. 2, I dream wolf comes, climbs in with me. Jaguar arrives and takes the other side. Occasionally, Jaguar rises, circles the room, returns. 3, I wake, go downstairs, and am greeted by 2 men to whom I relay the dream. They power up a YouTube clip showing the whole thing gone viral. 4, I wake up in my own bed.
That's great.
These are real dreams that I have. They're not like I'm making them up and making a poem out of them. I'm making a poem out of something that happened. Okay, so this one, I know we're going to talk a lot about marketing today. So this one's called Advice on the Game. And it's pretty direct, and then it shifts into more dream space. So, advice on the game. Setting up the dining hall in an old Western lodge for the competitive bigwigs game of hearts. Each swaggers into the closed, dimly lit room, wanting to check the new deck for the Queen of Spades. At 3, I go into the kitchen, asked to take a break. I want to call my mother and make sure I can get a ride home. Climbing straight up to the sky on a tall metal ladder planted deep in the open ocean. At the top, on a platform, a woman dressed in black commands me into a suspended bathtub. Releasing the tub, she says, "Be the bitch." You know hearts, right? Okay, thank you. So I've been reading this poem at least since 2016. I'd like to be able to say I didn't need to read it anymore. So we should all get together and talk to our legislators to pass LD 1184 with a 2/3 vote so we can override Janet Mills's veto of the bills acknowledging that Maine acknowledges their sovereignty, the Wabanaki sovereignty. Liquidation. For 36 years, I've slept on some shore of Penobscot Bay, paddled the east and west branches of Penobscot River, traversed Penobscot County to get to Medway, Lincoln, the Golden Road, visit Penobscot Marine Museum, Penobscot Theater Company, read the Penobscot Pilot, smell the Penobscot Potato Factory, wake up to the weather on the bay. The Penobscot River watershed covers 8,750 square miles from Bucksport to the Canadian-Maine border, extends with some easy portages to the Allagash into the St. John, all the way to New Brunswick or over to Kennebec and down to Popham and the bay. From the bay, you can get anywhere, Schoodic, Monhegan. I know a few of the carrying places, can read the water some, know where I might find wild berries, sight eagles, great blue heron from Castine to Idaho, Brooklyn to Camden Hills, Belfast to Mount Desert. Know where I might go swimming, McGonagall, Pemaquid, Naskeg. Names I've learned to say the settlers' way, but none we appropriate like Penobscot. A mispronunciation of the people's names for themselves, the river, the land. Panawaskia, meaning the river, the land, the people. Here for some 13,000 years, 90% annihilated by incoming immigrant germs. The remaining estimate of 10,000 in 1700 fought with the colonialists in their Revolutionary War. Now number under 2,000. Cut down by genocidal scalp bounties, war, alcohol, child abduction. The Penobscot, treated into 22 square acres of their homeland, a swath of the river and its islands from Medway to Old Town. Now the state that calls itself Maine claims this stretch, the river, does not include the water. Panawaskia land, Panawaskia river, Panawaskia people.
That's not finished, you gotta keep going. Tell us more.
Okay.
We're all pausing going, then what happens?
Then what happens? We vote.
And make change happen.
Make change happen. The last time that came to vote, it passed the Senate and the House, and it sat because Janet Mills wouldn't sign it. She does other good things, but not this.
Why wouldn't she sign it, do you know?
My personal opinion is the people who fund her, are the people who pollute the river. And the Penobscots have a higher standard of cleanliness for the river than the state of Maine does. It is equal to the EPA, but the state of Maine has its own rules. So, okay. I'm going to finish with this. Maybe I can find it. Okay. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Lisa. What is to be offered? Ukrainian women decorate eggs at a certain time of year, late winter, at a specific time of day, night. We have made dyes, recipes secreted mother to daughter from onion skins, lichen, woad, and buckwheat husk, collected and strained beeswax. And after the chores and the children are put to bed, a good, clean egg is chosen, and a design. 8-sided rose pattern with a border of sieves to sort impurities, a long life of meanders, and perhaps wolf's teeth for loyalty, wisdom, and a firm grip. Each mark heating the kiska in the candle, dipping it in the wax, a line on the egg. By the end, it is nearly black with wax. Memory of the design obscured, perfection surrendered. The egg has sat in yellow, been daubed with green. It lingered in red, purple, and black. Before the Ukrainians, Neolithic trillions had only brown, brick red, and black. The designs, fish for its sacred self, or a yin-yang divided almost beyond recognition. We make eggs for our men, for newlyweds, crops, goats, to boost in the rugged physical world. We do this every year, millions of eggs, holding strong the chains, shackling evil to the mountain. I remember. Form comes out of a dark place. Tools surround us. I make the choice with my hands. Thank you. PR, The Body in Late Stage Capitalism. I have some copies if you want one.
Thank you, Karin. All right, so that concludes the welcome and the poetry section. Please head to your 9:30 room spaces, and you should see those in your program and on your maps. Thank you.